What is up, guys? We got another episode of Feel the Burn podcast today. We're going to be talking about quite a bit of things. Cardinals had a very busy week, whether it be letting go Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim walking away, DeAndre Hopkins most likely being gone this offseason. I think it's exactly what fans want to see. They don't want to see any messing around. Based off how that season went, they want to get right into it. And for the Suns, they got that upset win against the Warriors. Fell flat last night, but nothing you do about that. No day off from there. Talk a little bit about their bench play and what to expect in the upcoming months when Devin Booker's back, Cam Johnson's back, and all that stuff. So let's get into it with the Cardinals. What did you guys think about Cliff? Do you guys think that was a good move? Think that was something that was needed? Or do you guys think that, maybe give him one more year?
You can go first, Franklin. I got opposite reaction.
Don't mind if I do. I think. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it in past podcasts. I think a lot of fans and even us were like kind of thinking it's time for Cliff to go. We can make the argument though, for his sake, that he dealt with a lot of injuries and there's a lot of situations that happened throughout this year with D Hop, being out with the suspension and Kyler Murray getting hurt, and a lot of injuries to the O-line. But in terms from a situational in-game adjustments perspective, at times play calling perspective, I think teams were starting to catch up to his offense, and also just the in-game adjustments there wasn't any progress happening, throughout his time in Arizona. So from that standpoint, I feel like it was time to make a change, just to get a new voice in there. And I think it's kind of good that they made a decision to allow Kyler Murray to be in on the head coaching carousel, which is telling me that they're all in with him. Because they could have easily been a situation that people will probably ask questions about is this Cardinals thinking of parting ways with Kyler. But I think with that out there in the loop, that there's no questions asked if they think that he's the guy of the future, and you're just waiting to get the right coach alongside with him. But in terms of Cliff, it was an unfortunate situation. I've been on record of saying I didn't think they should have hired him. I think what the Cardinals are trying to do is they're trying to go a little bit outside of the box to try to draw a little bit of sales for the fans and to get a lot of notoriety with the fans. But I thought from a college records perspective, it kind of spoke for itself, and his in-game adjustments kind of spoke for itself. But I think they made the right decision. I think it was time for a change, and I'm glad that not only did they part ways with Cliff, that they also part ways with Steve Keim, so they just cleaned house. So I think it was the right decision at the end of the day.
I'm going to go a little bit in the opposite direction. I was reading a little bit about his college career, because that's often something that's brought up. I think he did a good job at Texas Tech. He was the offensive coordinator, not the head coach. So I know a lot of people will bring up his record, but I don't think it's fair to base Texas Tech's record based off how he did the offensive coordinator. I mean, with Patrick Mahomes, they averaged 42 points a game for while he had Mahomes. So it's not like their offense was struggling. I would have liked to see them demote him to offensive coordinator. I look at him as a coach, not as much as a leader. I think he had the talent, but he just had no way of forming those relationships on the sideline, communicating with players. And it was, like you said, it was a lot of bonehead mistakes. He couldn't time manage. You were wasting timeouts early in the third quarter when you needed them in the fourth. But I mean, the Cardinals, they went 5-2 in 2020 to start off the year. They went 7-0 to start off the season in 2021. They had the talent. I just think talent only gets you so far. And for Cliff, he couldn't figure out how to just really mold the team together, and after a loss, get them going again. And I think he did a good job on the offense for the most part until this season. I think once things started falling off track, he kind of lost track of everything, and he knew that he was going to be gone. He unfollowed Cardinals social media a while back ago. It was pretty obvious that he was not going to be there for another year. And as a coach, when you're not going to be there for another year, you're not going to make the same coaching decisions that you would have. And give him the benefit of the doubt, the Cardinals injuries were everywhere. I mean, you're dealing with 4 backups on your offensive line, you don't have your franchise quarterback for half the year, you don't have DeAndre Hopkins for 8 weeks. It's tough to win games when everybody is injured. I mean, them and the Broncos were kind of in the same boat. They had the talent, they had a new coach, everything was looking good. Semi new coach, and injuries took over. But yeah, I would have liked to see them offense coordinator role. I think as a head coach, it was a good idea to get rid of him. But it'll be interesting to see where he goes next.
Yeah, I think a lot of blame got put on Cliff Kingsbury when it should have got put on the whole team as a unit. Starting with Kyler Murray, I think personally, I think he forced the franchise last offseason to give him that contract, which forced the hand with the front office to side with either him or Kingsbury this season when things were going bad. Also, y'all saw during games Kyler Murray yelling at this man like he's his child. I think it was just a bad situation, and I think it starts with the quarterback more than the head coach. I don't think he would have did anything different next season if they would have kept him another year. So I do agree with the firing. I just don't agree with the blame put on him for everything this season. Is all my stance is. I think they have an underwhelming
I
quarterback
think
that's
it's
overpaid.
it's the culture, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think Adrian Wilson would be a great fit as general manager because, especially they lost their GM in December. There was no culture there. Um, there and it wasn't as if it was just simple mistakes. It was stuff like fumbling the football for no reason. DeAndre Hopkins carrying it. It was their playmakers that were just making bonehead plays, and it was almost as if they were jogging out there. They weren't running. Nobody looked like they want to be there. You had your few leaders. You had your J.J. Watt, your Buda Bakers, but for the most part, it seemed like they gave up after the 8th week of the season, and there really was no identity of the team, and that starts from the top and works its way down to the bottom. So I think, clean house perspective, yeah, it was a good idea.
No, I
So
agree with everything you said. I
yeah,
just think it starts with the quarterback at the end of the day.
definitely, and I think
Once
that's
you
why I think he should have a decision in the next head coach because you need that bond. I think this is a big year for Kyler Murray coming off of that surgery. If he doesn't perform well this year, I think they'll think about trading him next offseason because he's supposed to be their franchise guy. And if this is their 5th season with him, and he's still not doing what he was supposed to do as the #1 overall pick of the draft, then they really got to reconsider something. I think
Yeah,
from their perspective, they got rid of Cliff to see, all right, was it Cliff or was it Kyler? And this is Kyler's time to show that it was Cliff.
yeah, and even to echo with you guys. Even though I'm on the limelight of more so, it's good that they're parting ways with Cliff. I do agree. I mean, I do understand everything that you guys are coming from. I will say this, that I feel like all of us can really agree with that the much bigger issue is, in my opinion, Michael Bidwell, the owner. The Cardinals have not had a head coach last longer than 6 years in his whole time owning the team there, or even when they moved um, there in 2005. So I think that's the biggest issue. I think Richard Sherman said it best in his tweet that what that shows you is it's a dysfunctional organization, if anything. That's not to say Michael Bill was a bad person or anything. I think he's actually a wonderful person. I just think that with the way things have gone throughout his tenure there, that it's probably much bigger than a Cliff Kingsbury or Steve Keim or even a Kyler Murray kind of problem. But I do think that it was getting to the time where players weren't really listening to Cliff anymore. It was kind of like
right.
just wave the white flag. We already know what's about to
Yep.
happen type of ideal. It was kind of tough sledding from there that point forward, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that has kind of became to give him kind of some slack. It's kind of became a league wide pandemic. You are seeing coaches left and right being gone. You'll see it with like Mike Tomlin. You give a coach a chance to build his team, give him a couple seasons, not just two. Give him 4 or 5 seasons. He's able to build that team around him. He's able to get the talent going, build connections with the players. It's hard to go out there. It's just your first year, first 2 years, and make it to the playoffs and go on a little run. You got to give these coaches time with their players. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. Moving on to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, no, let me speak on this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Franklin with the Bidwell thing. Like,
Yeah.
but since we're going to Hopkins next, I'll save my Hopkins opinion for later. But yeah, it was time to move on from Kingsbury. But I also agree with Rowan. Kyler Murray got to start showing up and earning that money. I heard a stat today that was kind of crazy. The top 5 paid quarterbacks didn't make the playoffs this year.
That's a crazy stat. I ain't know that.
Wait, the top
Yeah,
5 quarterbacks in the NFL did not make the playoffs this
top
year?
5 paid quarterbacks. That's what somebody said on the radio. I'm not 100%.
Oh, yeah, you got Aaron
wrong,
Rodgers.
but the top 5 paid quarterbacks didn't make the playoffs this year.
That's Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson,
Deshaun
Watson.
I think Patrick Mahomes did.
Oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes
He's
top 4. Maybe it's top 4. Yeah. But,
I mean, that's
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing to Deshaun, but yeah.
They just handing out these contracts these days, man.
Yeah, it's a career defining season for him.
So what they do is, what happens is, these quarterbacks have these so seasons, and we got to pay this guy because we ain't gonna be able to find nobody better, so they think they can pay him. So Kirk Cousins got all that money, and that's how these quarterbacks get paid now.
Before we even move to the D-Hop situation or topic, I allude to that as well. I think I saw a tweet with one reporter that said that if your quarterback's not top 5, you should probably just start drafting quarterbacks left and right on rookie deals and just like build the team around him.
Yeah,
in that sense,
it's a crazy
especially with inflation going on with salaries this time. Yeah, I'm kind of all for that because that's tough to have a top paid quarterback and you're not doing anything. So,
well, especially with injuries, it's wild. All right,
I definitely think that's what Kyler did, though. He went 10-1, and that all season he literally pay me or I'm gonna cry about it.
That's what Lamar's gonna do this offseason too.
He deserved it, though. MVP, baby. Kyler never got an MVP.
All right, DeAndre Hopkins. Should they have traded him?
Should they?
I think yes. I think they can get some good deals out of it. He didn't want to be there, and for the sake of his career, I think it's in the best interest of both. I don't think this was a Cardinals or DeAndre. I think this was a mutual kind of discussion. Yeah, we could be better off without you getting maybe some high value draft picks or some defensive players, but he's nearing his 30s. He's seen a little bit of injuries. You saw him miss a little over half the season last year because of his knee injury. And, his production definitely slipped with all the backup quarterbacks, and you can see him getting angry about it. And he knows that he's not going to be able to the high value receiver that doesn't have as much time as he would like. And, he played with the Texans for a while. And now he's playing with the Cardinals. He wants to win. And I think it's a good decision. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think it's time. I think it's time to move on from him. And to be fair for the Cardinals, how they got him, Bill O'Brien gave them a box of cookies. That's the reason why they got him. That was a crazy trade. But that's neither here nor there. But in terms of DeAndre Hopkins' future, yeah. I mean, especially if you're cleaning house and you're already thinking about, we can say reloading, rebuilding, but I think more than ever, I think it's time to make that change in terms of like you said, he's getting into his 30s. He's missed more than half the season twice the last 2 years. He's still a great player. It's getting to the point now where is he starting to play as many games as a Michael Thomas is? Are they kind of starting to become? Okay, that's actually going a little.
I would say this though. I have a correlation with that real quick, and you can get back to it. If they hire Sean Payton, they should keep D-Hop.
That's the same way. You're thinking the same way I am.
Oh well,
we on the same.
That's another conversation. If Sean Payton's coming, I guarantee Sean Payton's no, we're not trading D-Hop. He needs a number one receiver. But if Sean Payton doesn't come, I see the next GM, looking to trade him for sure.
Man, if Kyler Murray is what everybody thinks he is, and y'all hire Sean Payton, we need to keep D Hop because Sean Payton knows what to do with a receiver and a quarterback.
Yeah, the same.
You got Marquise
Him,
Brown. I mean, you
him.
could try something there. He's young.
I'm talking about a quarterback, like a one wide receiver, not a
Yeah,
slot fast guy.
DeAndre Hopkins would be massive in Sean Payton's offense. Just
Yeah,
looking at Michael Thomas, when Michael Thomas was healthy and 149 catches in 2019,
broke every
125 in 2018.
broke every record.
Yeah, so
He held every
I
receiving record.
guarantee
Michael
if
Thomas.
Peyton, I can almost guarantee if Sean Payton the coach there, he's gonna want Hopkins.
I wonder
He's
if
gonna catch the
they
football.
let go Hopkins and then hire on Sean Payton.
Would Sean Payton want to come to AZ if they?
I think a lot of people have brought up what he said about Kyler Murray in the past. He's loved Kyler. He thinks he's a great QB. That's not the same Kyler that we're looking at right now. That's a Kyler Murray that was before he tore his ACL, before he was missing 5 weeks a season. For me, I think the team most likely Sean Payton's going to go to is the Broncos. Russell Wilson showed signs of promise in the last couple of weeks. That defense is still one of the best in the league. You still have Jerry Jeudy. You still have a good running back core, Latavius Murray. I think when looking at the Cardinals, I don't think Sean Payton will want to have to deal with Kyler Murray's injury or even maybe his attitude that was a little bit shown throughout the year. And additionally, I don't think he wants to take over a team that is missing so many components on their defense. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I honestly think Sean Payton is waiting for that Dallas Cowboys game on Monday night. If they lose to the Bucks, I'm telling you, that is a possibility. I'm telling you, because I do not think Mike McCarthy's staying in Dallas if they lose this week. If they lose Monday night.
But Dak
so I think Sean Payton's waiting for that to see what happens in that game.
It's a possibility, but how much control is Sean Payton gonna have at Dallas with Jerry Jones?
I think. Dang,
Jerry Jones like Al Davis. They want to be in the limelight.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He has stated though he wants to bring to bring his own little group with him. So I think the Cardinals have an edge there because he can have discussion in the general manager.
Hands down.
Yeah. Another team to keep an eye on is the Chargers. I'm hearing if the Chargers lose this weekend, they might get steady out of there and try to get Peyton in there since he already lives in LA. So
Sean Payton with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen would be disgusting. Oh my goodness.
Sean Payton with CeeDee Lamb.
Oh god, that too. Jeez. Sean Payton's gonna wait. I'm telling you, Sean Payton's gonna wait this out.
He's gonna think it through because this is most likely his last. This is the last team that he's gonna coach with, unless he drags his on for like 20 years and goes on like a Bill Belichick type run. This is probably his last little stand, so he's gonna make sure this is the right team. Yeah. What do you guys think, Chris? Rowan?
I mean, honestly, man, I think everybody's hyping that, the Sean Payton train, and historically with sports, some stuff is a done deal, but normally when you end up overhyping something, it normally is one of those things that just never happens. I mean, would he be good there? Like, if we're talking about him being in that spot, yeah. I mean, I just sometimes when you get so behind something like that, like everybody's pulling it now. He's he's got the betting odds in his favor to land, and normally that just historically doesn't work out that way. It seemed like the Cardinals were open, possibly not like completely from what I read, to like possibly promoting internally, but it's not something they're like super duper huge on. It's kind of like the last leg if nothing falls through, but I think it's kind of fair game right now. It's just a lot of change happening. It's so weird. You got the D-Hop situation. I saw Antonio Hamilton say something on Twitter, like, it's been real AZ or see you later AZ or something like that, which, sometimes it's just, yeah. And sometimes it's just off-season trolling, but I really think they are trying to clean the house a little bit. I really do. And I think, honest to God, Cliff Kingsbury was not the only problem that front office saw this season. Like, yes, he was the, flag face of it, but he was not the sole thing. They probably saw other things where it's like, hey, while we're at it, if we're going to completely try to rehaul this thing around Murray, then we need there's other pieces we got to get out of here too. So,
I think the biggest problem, just to touch on you, and then I'll touch on Sean Payton. The biggest problem is Kyler Murray can't see over the line, and he starts scrambling for 30 yards like he playing recess. But you can go ahead, Frank, if you want. I just want to touch on Sean Payton.
I wanted to touch on that because there is I don't know if it was like a year ago, but I remember watching like one of those YouTube videos where like they talk about like break down film, and they did one on Kyler Murray, and they said one of his biggest issues that he had was he never threw in breaking routes over the middle of the field, or didn't even throw inside the numbers a lot. And a lot of people were thinking, is it because of his height, or that he couldn't see, or was it because I don't know? But like, I don't know what you're saying. Like,
you got a point. And honestly, like
they did have Drew Brees though.
That's true. That's true.
A lot of diehard Murray fans will like. You can't even say like maybe he's just too short and he can't see over the O-line because they think it's like a jab at him or a slight. It's not like making fun of him. That's like a genuine concern, especially if let's say they do keep D-Hop, which, they may not. But if they retool him with more weapons, kind of like they did this year, people are expecting you to make the bigger throws and things like that. And if you can't see, then that's like literally something that he cannot change. That's just that's just a thing. But I do see that debate a lot to your, to what you said, Rowan and Franklin, like of people saying maybe he can't just genuinely see in certain play patterns over the O-line.
If you can't be a pocket passer in the NFL, you're not an NFL quarterback, man.
It's like not having a jump shot at any position in the NBA at this point. Like, you can't shoot. We kind of don't need you.
Right. The one thing I'll say, bring it back to Sean Payton, I don't know much, but I do know betting odds, and if Vegas is giving you 2-1, moving it from 3-1 to 2-1 overnight on Sean Payton, that shows a 33% chance that Sean Payton will be announced as the Arizona Cardinals head coach on January 17th. However, it could be wrong, but when the second two people behind him, that's Vance Joseph and then Shane, the offensive coordinator from the Eagles, I forgot his last name, they're at plus 700 and plus 800, which is a huge gap. And I'm not saying Vegas knows everything, but they're not going to give you a plus 800 on something that's possible to happen. That's why Sean Payton is 2-1.
I think Vance Joseph right now is the head runner from Michael Bidwell's point of view, from what he said in the press conference, from what they have interviews lined up, and just from reports that have came out. I think Vance Joseph is the lead runner, which I wouldn't really want them to do, and I've seen mixed reactions. I think it's Michael Bidwell said. I mean, he's having interviews left and right. He's trying to get the general manager first, and then he wants to go for the head coach. So we'll see what happens. We'll wrap up the Cardinals with what are you guys' very early predictions, season record for next season for the Arizona Cardinals?
That's tough, especially with not us knowing who the head coach and GM is. I don't know what to tell
you.
And then Kyler Murray's out for he might come back.
He'll be out for, let's say, 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's tough. I don't know.
I think they go 2-0 and then end up 7-9.
That's crazy. Well, that's not crazy. Actually, that's not crazy. Because I was just gonna say, I think honestly they'll probably that I'm taking is they'll have a better season than they had this year, percentage wise, or season. Even like morale standpoint, they'll have a better season. But I can't go off the rails and say they're going to be, a juggernaut. I don't see that. Even if they retool, maybe, because anything can happen. But
you have 2 first-round picks potentially.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a lot to build off of, honestly. Yeah. I mean, either way they go with it. But I just don't see them.
What divisions do they play next season?
What?
What divisions do they play next season?
They're tougher. Actually, they play the NFC East a lot.
Yeah, they play the NFC East.
I would say their schedule's a lot easier. They play the Bengals, the Giants, Commanders, Cowboys.
Easier.
They had,
I was
compared
naming
to
the
this
harder
season.
teams.
I was about to say, so you said easy and you named the Bengals.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
oh,
It's a
God.
lot. I mean, their schedule is one of the toughest in the league. I think it was fifth toughest by the end of the year.
They played the NFC South this year, bro.
Yeah.
Worst division in football right now. And they're gonna play the East
Overall-
next year.
No, but overall, their win-loss percentage was fifth hardest in the league, and that actually got better. It was supposed to be the second hardest, but teams didn't really pan out how they wanted it to, so it ended up fifth. But I don't have the exact numbers on what it is next year, but I know it is easier. You know, the Texans are in there, and a couple others. All right, moving
So
on.
that means they're playing AFC South, NFC East, and then their division 6 games against the NFC West. They'd be lucky to get 5 wins, I think, just off the top of my head of those divisions. We got the Titans, the Jaguars.
We just got to see who the next head coach is, honestly. That's really what
All right.
Hold the schedule real quick, see what we got. Get this exact list. They just released this a couple weeks ago. All right, they got Cowboys, Giants, Ravens, Bengals, Falcons, Rams, 49ers, Eagles, Commanders, Steelers, Browns, Bears, Texans, and then division again.
Yeah. Oh man.
They're going 1-16, bro. I swear to God. I didn't know they.
I don't even know what to make of the Rams right now, because like who knows what's going to be going on with Sean
Payton. Rams, Sean McVay bailing on them because he got to do a rebuild and they ain't got no draft picks. That's what's going on. He ain't burnt out. I know exactly what he's going on.
Hey, Lamar, he either bail on them or they're going to bail on him. I mean, it's one of the two. Rather you than me.
Yeah,
I'm going to go 9-8 next year.
9-8.
9-8.
You think 9-8?
9-8 or 8-9. I think they'll be somewhere right in the middle.
I don't even think
I'll go 7-10. I'll go 7-10 if I have.
I don't mind saying they'll be a middle pack.
I think they'll be right in the middle. I think the difference between them, they have a quarterback. I mean, you're looking at other teams throughout the league, and they don't have a quarterback. It's something as simple as that. I mean, it's
every team you just named is nice, man.
All right, let's get some Suns talk going on. We'll start with their bench play. Is this something that should be looked at as a positive because of the fact that you're resting your starters? Well, not resting, but you're getting these starters with fresh legs out for the remainder of the season and playoffs? Or is the bench play concerning? What do you make of this, Franklin?
I would say for the most part, it's been encouraging. I know they just got blown out, so it's kind of hard to say that. They just
that's the Nuggets, though,
destroyed by Denver.
That's a one-day flight. I mean,
it's off a back-to-back. It's fine. We all knew that was probably going to happen. But
playing with 4 backups.
It was a tough ask. But I think the Warriors game really encouraged a lot of things. I just think there's something with Dwayne Washington. I just think if he can just get a little bit more playing time and that consistency can come, he can be legitimate off the bench, in my opinion. I just think there's just a little bit consistency with his shooting at times. You just don't know which kind of performance you're going to get night in and night out. But for the most part, I thought the bench play, I think this is good for them long term, for the Suns. And I think what's benefiting them is just a really close West right now. Like they're only like 5 games or 6 games back from 1 seed, and they're literally a game below 500, which is crazy. And obviously with the up and down play of the Warriors, you just never know what's going to happen in this Western Conference right now. And I think for the most part, it just comes down to, can they consistently not get injured until all their guys come back? That's the key with all of this. And I think they can and they will, and I think they'll get like a lower seed. And I think that will help benefit them come in playoff time. Now, are they going to go out and win the championship? I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's going to happen. But do I think they can sneak into the playoffs and be a quality playoff team when healthy? Yes, I do. Yes, I can. And I think there's a little bit of nuance to this with like everybody getting quality minutes. I think if anything, Dario Saric has been a pleasant surprise in this stretch run. I thought he had a great game against the Warriors as well. So I think they come out really good for them come the stretch run, because they're going to be, they're going to be battle tested for sure. Everybody on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
That win against the Warriors was huge. Just to get that confidence boost, let them know, all right, we can win a game without Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. It's not impossible. It's something they can at least build off of. And having that bench in the playoffs with some confidence and just experience and playing time, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I think they can sneak once they get healthy, they can sneak up even up to a third seed possibly and make a little run. Just my quick opinion.
Give this Suns team, this bench team, their respect. I
know, Chris.
literally wanted them to win. I saw more heart when they played the Warriors than I've seen at times from that starting five. Like, you just got to call it for what it is. And it's not because they even beat the Warriors. It's just because they didn't lose their composure. They're not relying on one person and standing around. They're not being passive. They're being aggressive. You got Dario Saric, like Franklin said, he was amazing. Dwayne Washington, amazing. Damian Lee, amazing. Kogi, Landale. Everybody was doing what they needed to do. And so, to Jacob's point, I think it is impressive because that you win people over with that kind of play. They probably won more people over with that play than what people have seen from this starting five, with Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton. And if anything, if I'm Ayton, if I'm Chris Paul, if I'm Booker, if I'm Cameron Johnson, and I'm sitting on that bench like they have been, and I'm watching these guys 9 deep go up against the defending champions, if that doesn't light a fire under you when you come back on that court, I just don't know what would. And it's more so not necessarily like towards Booker, because we know Booker will be okay. But Mikal Bridges, that should light a fire because you were playing with them. Like, that's how you should play all the time, is how you played with them against the Warriors. Ayton, that's how you should be playing every night. You take a night off here and there, but do that every night. They got my respect, man. I loved it, honestly. I think that's the hardest I've rooted for them to win. Not that I don't, but like genuinely won that. But I'm like, bro, if y'all can stomp the Warriors in their home, like, Suns Twitter or NBA Twitter cannot disrespect y'all tonight. This is y'all's night. And the next morning, like, and I got on there, I was like, I literally want to see one of y'all say something. And of course, Warriors fans was like, oh, Damian Lee's getting all the calls and no Curry calls. I'm like, shut up. Like,
he was getting calls all night. Until the fourth quarter, I would say the Warriors were really getting the calls, and then
I'm like, be quiet. Let him cook. He's Damian Lee and that's Stephen Curry. Like, let him cook. If y'all can't beat them because of a couple of calls, y'all don't need to beat them. They 9 deep with one starter. Let it go.
Like 80% of their backups.
In the words of Mike Lowry, that's how you play. From now on,
that's how you play. From now on, that's how you play.
And even when that players come back healthy, let the bench players play a little bit more. They deserve it.
You're right. I mean, do they still need a trade? Yeah, but them dudes can hold their own if they stay composed. I mean, a lot of those dudes made a name for themselves because a lot of people really don't know who a lot of them are. Like, until they play on a national TV game and get all that playing time. Like, nobody really knew a Dwayne Washington or Ish Wayne, right? And now they do. Like, they got their. Well, they got my respect. I can say that they definitely got my respect.
Yeah, they play their hearts out, man. They
really did. And what were they? They were 1-10 without Booker. What was it going into that game?
Oh, they're like 2-12.
I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
I didn't expect them to do anything crazy against Denver either, just because one, it's a back-to-back. Two, you're basically playing the same bodies for heavy minutes, and it's Denver. Like, Denver is.
I knew they were gonna. No disrespect to Phoenix, but I knew they were going to get cooked.
Yeah, Denver has been.
Yeah, they're playing so much minutes.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Denver is so good right now that honestly, people like commentators are saying they don't really know who the number 2 guy is anymore. At one point, it was Murray by a landslide. Now it could be Aaron Gordon one night, or it could be Murray. Heck, even Bones Highland. So
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a top 5 3-point shooter.
He scored like the first 13 points for them.
He went 4 for 4 from the field last night, and I want to say Bones Highland went like 5 for 5.
Bones Highland had like 21.
Yeah,
he had like 5 threes.
And that's when I'm talking about from downtown, like they were cooking. Like that's a dangerous team. And like that coach, like Malone said one day when he got them in the huddle, I forgot who they were playing, the Clippers. And he said, look, first 6 minutes of the quarter, run them. He said, because they're not used to this altitude. We run them, they get gas. They have that advantage when they play at home because they're used to that, that altitude, and a lot of people aren't. So they're good, man. They are good.
He even said before the game they were asking him about the Suns situation. He said this is the hardest 2-game stretch a team could have. I mean, going from Golden State and then straight over to Denver overnight. I mean, that's dreadful.
At their place.
At their place.
Yeah, that's bad.
Whoever made the schedule
disrespected
the Suns this season.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And who do they have next? The Grizzlies?
And I guess everybody else that's injured. DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson. What do we got there?
Well, DeAndre Ayton's questionable for tomorrow, so it's up in the air whether he could play or not, which I know how we've all talked about DeAndre Ayton, but it is extra body, and he is still one of their best players. So it's that's a huge win for this team right now. In terms of Booker, I think he's still a few weeks away. I think they're going to honestly think they're going to take their time with him. They're not going to rush him. And it really comes down to reevaluation. He wasn't even with the team these past few days. So I think with him, Cameron Payne and Chris Paul are going to be a minute. I think Cameron Payne is going to be a few weeks as well, and so will Chris Paul. They're going to take they're all three of them are going to be slow with them. Cam Johnson's a little tricky because I've heard rumblings at practice even that he was actually supposed to be back this past week, like this past Sunday, but then again, I don't think Monty Williams has alluded to whether he's played 5-on-5 contact yet, so he still might be even a few weeks away. So
that'll be a big one.
Yeah, that would be a huge one. So we still got to monitor that, but we shall see. I think it's still a little ways for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think once they get those guys back, they'll be good.
I think the worst thing about tomorrow, because they play Minnesota, I said Memphis. I should have said Minnesota. The only thing about that is they're going to give, if Rudy Gobert is playing, I don't know if he is or not, but that's just like the perfect game for him to have like one of those unicorn nights where they can say, see, he was worth 80 million draft picks. I told you it's playing out. It was going to pan out, right?
Yeah. All right, so that's going to wrap us up today at Feel the Burn podcast. Thank you guys for joining in, and we'll catch you guys next week. Rowan, you have something to say?
They need to take Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton, trade him for LeBron James. Let's go get a ring, man.
I thought you was going to say Luka Doncic.
Forget Doncic, man. They had their chance to draft him. I'm sick.
Yeah, they did.
I'm sick.
Stephen A. Smith told them not to, so.
Nah, I was just
all right, we'll catch you guys next week.